Hey guys, so this will be the video on kind of the last lesson we have for this chapter and the quarter as well. So this is called Pronouns after Prepositions. Luckily, we technically do know both of these things already. It's just that now we are using them in like a different context, basically. So this is in your textbook. It is on page 390 if you wanted to use that. I kind of am just giving you guys the bare bones of it just because we do know what pronouns are, how you replace people's names and nouns, right? And then prepositions we've had like position words like next to, behind, under, and then we're kind of putting them together. So it is hopefully a pretty easy lesson. And I'm going to go over and kind of give you guys a couple of examples, and I might even do like the review that we tend to do for class on here so you can see how you would build it and how you would use it too. So that should be helpful. So first to begin is just what are pronouns, right? Pronouns are what you use instead of putting people's names when you talk about people, when you talk about yourself and others, basically. It's almost exactly the same chart as the pronoun chart that we know, like yo, tú, él, ella, usted, and nosotros, nosotras, if you do the vosotros or vosotras, and then ellos, ellas, and ellas. Or ellos, ustedes, and ellas, sorry. But the difference is that if you use them after a preposition, so if you're talking about like next to, behind, under, on top, all of these like position words, then you don't use the exact same chart. You don't use yo and you don't use tú. And that's why they're kind of like this purpley gray on the chart that we have here. So this is the actual chart that you use for specifically using after prepositions. They change from yo to me and from tú to ti, but it's not that we haven't even seen those words before, because that is what you would use when it came to the verb gustar. If you talked about how you like something, like I personally like something, I would say a mí me gusta, whatever I liked. Or if I knew you liked something, I would say a ti te gusta, whatever they liked. So we do know these other types of pronouns as well. It's just that we don't usually join them with like the basic subject pronouns. We usually have a whole different chart for those. So instead, this is like a combo chart of a little bit of the last one, and then usually what we're used to looking at for subject pronouns. And then these are, like I mentioned, the pronouns you use after prepositions. So prepositions we've had first as like prepositional phrases because they are a phrase and not just one single word. Those prepositional phrases were the words like delante de, in front of, detrás de, behind, al lado de, next to. So like all of those positions. We had, I think, 7 altogether. What made them a prepositional phrase, because it was 2 words now, was the addition of that word de at the end of it. We say like next to, far from, and it's in Spanish, it's always going to be de. So I guess de counts for a lot of different definitions, but the fact that it has that de is what makes that position, a prepositional phrase. So when you use a pronoun after prepositions, and the 4 prepositions you guys are using are a, just the letter A, which means to, like yo voy a BHS, I go to BHS. The second one is con, I'll use my cursor right here, so with. So we kind of learned it when we came to food. It was like hamburguesa con queso or something, but it's just with, like yo voy a BHS con mi amigo, I go with my friend. The word de, which like I said, we knew specifically from prepositional phrases, which just means from, but it can be used in multiple, just like on its own or in a prepositional phrase, basically. And then the word para, which is for. So like yo necesito mi computadora, I need my computer para la escuela, for school. So when you have a sentence, basically a phrase, and you have one of these 4 prepositions, what you put after it is going to be these types of pronouns. So you wouldn't ever accidentally say like con yo. You would say con mi go, which is a whole new word that we're going to be looking at today. But you're going to be using these 2 gray purple ones to replace yo and tú. And that's what we're going to practice. So like it says at the bottom, pronouns, so like what we know, the way you replace nouns, that follow prepositions, so basically after them, right? They follow them after, are the same as the subject pronouns in all forms except mi and ti. That would be the yo and the tú replacements. So example, la montaña rusa, the roller coaster, está is detrás. And there's that preposition, right? The word de. So I would have to say the mi. The roller coaster is behind me. The second one, or second example, el teléfono celular, the cell phone, está cerca de ti. It is close or near, both kind of mean the same thing, you. So instead of saying yo / I, or tú, which is another form of you, you would end up saying me and ti instead. So the only two special ones, and these are the ones that we're going to kind of almost end with because there's not a lot of new material when it comes to these prepositions, is if you specifically, only when. So if you were to use me and ti after the preposition con, only this thing only exists if you're talking about con, they actually combine with the word con and they form two new words. No other pronouns are going to form any new words. No other prepositions like para or de or a are going to attach themselves to any pronouns to form new words. It only happens with me and ti, and it only happens with con. They become conmigo and contigo. With me, the orangey one. With you, the greenish one. So example 1. ¿Vas al museo conmigo? Are you going to the museum with me? So it's con, right? That's the word with. Me is supposed to be an MI, but they do add a GO, and it becomes one full word, conmigo. So the answer was sí, yes, I'm going with you. Voy, again, contigo. So you're never going to end up having one solid new spelling, basically, unless if it's using the preposition with, and you're talking about either yourself or the word you. So if I was asking instead, like, are you going to the museum with him? Not with me, but you're going with him. I would completely write vas al museo con space él, with him. Or if they're saying no, I'm going with her, right? Or I'm going with them instead. Sí, voy con space ellos. I'm going with them. So you only combine them for me and ti. And these are going to be some of the examples that we had in class that I'm going to kind of show you guys how you would do. So into Spanish, right? The ride is in front of you. So my item here, the ride, that's an old vocab when it comes to the amusement park. So la rueda, the ride, is, we are looking at, these are prepositional phrases, right? So if you guys remember, the word for is can have two different words, ser or estar. But because this is a position, the word for place, that's when you think of, right? Place stands for position, locations, actions, conditions, and emotions. That's going to be a position. So we are saying está and not es, because then that would be the doctor word. So la rueda está in front of, delante, there's our preposition, de, and then you want to say of you. So delante de, you could actually have two different answers. Delante de ti, if you're looking at informal, or it could be delante de usted if you wanted to do the formal. Either way, I need the word for you, right? And we always have two versions of you. To, it's another preposition. Well, it's another prepositional phrase because it's talking about next to another position, right? So the computer, la computadora. Again, está, because we're looking at a position. Next to, lado de, that's our preposition again, next to us. So we have usually said the word we, right, when it includes you plus other people. Same idea, so you're still going to be looking at the same box, the same pronoun, but it technically can be we / us, because it could be like we as in I'm in the group and telling people we are going to go to the movies, for example, or someone could be talking to us, or talking to me, I should say, and it's like, no, I'm going with you guys, like with all of us, including me too. So it would still be a we word because it says us. That means you plus other people. So al lado de nosotros, or technically nosotras if you wanted to do the feminine version, but either way, next to us, or we, technically. We just wouldn't say next to we because that sounds weird in English. In Spanish, you just have one word for a group, including you, nosotros, no matter what. 3 is asking the question, would you like to go to the movies with me? That is one of those special spellings because it has the word with, and it's specifically talking about me, right? So, would you like to? That's like what we did when we learned to ask people about going to do things with us or go to places with us. Oops. ¿Te gustaría? Would you like to? Ir, would you like to go? That's the word for to, right? The movies. The movie theater, technically, so like el cine. And then you say with me, so that's the new spelling. With, that's con. Me is the pronoun, but it becomes a new word. Conmigo. That would be it. And just like usual, we have contractions. Just like you can say can't, or you can say cannot. You can say a, el, or you can say al. Same idea though, to though. That's all it's basically saying. And then last one. Someone went with you. We have another one of those special spellings and a super old word for someone. Hopefully you guys remember your affirmative and negative because that will still show up when it comes to your semester 2 final, right? So someone, alguien. This is a past tense word of went. So alguien fue, and then with you. Con, with. Ti, you. Go is the new spelling. Alguien fue contigo. Someone went with you. This is the practice that you guys had for this last week. That's what the handout is on. You have a little bit of it on your bubbles that you do. So it's all on page, like I mentioned, what was it, 390? But you can also kind of follow along when it comes to this video again if you need to. But that'll be that. Hopefully that's pretty easy for you guys, and I'll see you in class. Adios.